How's it going, peeps? It's Dan here with the latest review and analysis for RWBY with this week's episode, Painting the Town. But yes, before that begins, I just want to say a quick major thanks to Monty for the tweet. I never thought such a thing would happen, and the compliments was very welcome, so thanks if you do see this, Monty, and for those who found me from that tweet, welcome to this goofball's videos. With that said, let's get back to the point of this video, with the review and analysis. Last time out, I felt the episode was kinda slow, and was mostly around the reveal of Penny's secret that many saw coming, and in the end, it felt a bit flat in my eyes. Again, it wasn't a terrible episode, but after two strong ones, it definitely needed something more. So, did we get that here with the rest of the RWBY girls' investigations? Or did the volume take its second stumble? Spoiler warning, folks, for the past episodes, and of course this week's episode, so don't watch unless you're willing to be spoiled. Complain, and Yang will do her thing. We open with the aftermath of Penny's reveal, where she describes herself to RWBY as the first synthetic person able to generate an aura, the manifestation of one's soul in the RWBY universe, and that her father had let her come to Vale for the Vital Festival's tournament, and to let her see the world alongside testing her ability to fight. RWBY, being the small bundle of pure innocence that she is, takes it all rather well, even to Penny's surprise, saying that while she does have nuts and bolts inside of her instead of squishy guts, she's still a real person, and her friend, which of course leads to robot hugs. From this scene, we get some curious tidbits in regards to Ironwood's involvement with Penny. Firstly, we get confirmation that Ironwood is in fact not her father, rather someone else's, and that Ironwood was only aided in the construction of Penny. Penny also mentions that he told her that she'll one day save the world, no doubt being Ironwood's trump card for the incoming threat. Also, this, like the showcase of the new Elysian units, is more signs that Ironwood doesn't seem to share in Ozpin's belief in that the world is in a time of peace. No doubt at some point the two headmasters will come to blows from this. The two girls don't have much time left to chat though, as the men that were looking for Penny in the last episode have found them. So, Penny does the logical thing. She dumped RWBY into the dumpster. Penny, while doing this, does ask RWBY to keep the secret to herself, which is kind of interesting since if she wants to have her identity be a secret, how is she going to be able to fight in the tournament? RWBY accepts either way, and Penny goes with the men to allow RWBY a chance to bolt. We cut to Yang now on top of the now series debuting Bumblebee bike, and Jesus, Neptune! I know Yang is a bit of a speed demon on that bike, but no need to enjoy it that much. Hui. Of course, these two have arrived at Junior's club, the site of Yang's demolition in her trailer, again confirming the events of the yellow trailer as canon. Said events, which of course doesn't really make her a very welcome guest. Can I just say that Yang is just a lot of fun to watch? Goldilocks gives no fucks, as even with a host of goons with guns packing ready to shoot, she just busts on through ready to get her info. Neptune seems to agree with me, even if he does seem to have issues keeping his eyeballs on at least one girl at a time. Much to my surprise, we get all of the RWBY girls in this episode, as now we find Blake and Sun infiltrating the White Fang meeting, with Blake giving us some info about the group's masks. Despite them feeling what they do is right, they don masks that look similar to Grimm, as a bit of a dark twist on them being seen as monsters by many of their haters. They make it in, and we see Torchwick is being introduced to the White Fang members and the new recruits, as he rallies them into his favour, despite some people like Deary here having some qualms against having a human in their group. Be it Cinder's group's actual beliefs or him just sugarcoating words to feed him more support from White Fang members, he's proclaiming that with his aid and the newly acquired Freckles paladins that was stolen from Ironwood's lot, that they can finally achieve what many Faunists want: payback against those in power. The government, the military, and even the schools seem to be their target, and after Rowan's battle cry, which I must say some more excellent work from Grey, it seems to win over most of the Faunists in attendance, giving Roman and of course Cinder some more numbers to their cause, which can't mean anything good. He did mention that there's a new operation in the southeast. I have no idea if he means the southeast of Vale or further or whatever, but I'm willing to bet that that's going to be a hotspot that we'll visit at some point soon in the series. Jumping back to the club, we don't really get a lot of info out of Junior, since even he seems to be in the dark. We only find out from him that he was paid upfront by Roman, as seen in the yellow trailer, and he got Junior's men in return, which didn't pan out well given the first episode of the series when RWBY tanked them, and according to Junior, they've not come back, though no idea if he means they all got arrested or got silenced by Cinder's group. Since this is the last we see of Junior in this episode, I've got to say that Jack did a better job in this than I feel than he did with his debut. More than likely just him being more accustomed to the role, but he did a good job with what he had. Blake and Sun are in a bit of a tight spot trying to find a way out smoothly, and it ends up being a bit too slow, as Roman alongside her new henchwoman sees them, but at least before he can act on it, Blake goes badass and counts on the fact that faunists have night vision and knocks out the lights, leading into this episode's action piece. It's the mech battle that was teased in the trailer in all its glory, as we see the mech chasing down the two faunists through the city and then the highway. No doubt a lot of people died here, or at least got hurt, by just the mech shunting away cars alone, which Yang skillfully drives on through. The paladin that Roman is controlling gets some airtime here, as we see it's sort of like those mechs in Titanfall, as it's controlled by someone inside, leading into that human touch that Ironwood was hinting in his showcase. And speaking of showcase, we get to see some new things regarding Neptune and Sun with regards to combat. Firstly, Neptune whips out his gun, which looks to be a sort of rail gun, which can shoot some kinetic blasts and such, that does have a second form to it, so sorry, we're not getting a fabled gun weapon here, folks. No, in fact, it's some sort of glaive, or perhaps a naginata, a pole weapon with a blade on it, which also has a third form, as the singular edge can transform into a three-pronged trident, no doubt inspired by Neptune, the god of the seas. Neptune himself doesn't really get much success with it though, and then there was Sun, who unleashed his newly revealed semblance, which is being able to make copies, which of course is no doubt inspired by the Monkey King Sun Wukong's ability to make copies from his hair. One of Sun's copies looks to be unarmed, while the other one was using his staff, so perhaps each copy that Sun makes has its own unique attack style, or maybe it's just however he feels like. Sadly though, this also doesn't have much effect on the paladin, leaving it up to the girls to tag into the fight. And boy does this fight go wild. First off, much to my own and many others' surprise and enjoyment, we see that not only are the girls able to pull off some amazing duo combos, but they're also given names alluding to their shipping names that many fans have given them. Freezerburn has Yang and Weiss team up to do the mist-making ice smash, which I guess from the trailer, and in the midst of the girls using the cover to zip around Roman's mech, next up is Checkmate, which is Weiss and Blake using the combined agility and nimbleness with their blades to slash away all over the mech, not to mention Weiss unleashing a new glyph power that powers up Blake for some Limit Break-esque slicing and dicing, before the Catgirl teams up with RWBY for Ladybug, which is some more tandem cutdowns that disarms Roman. Roman still has one good arm though, and jeez does he take down Yang hard. I was definitely worried that Yang was out for the count after getting pile-drived and punched through several beams, but RWBY lets Blake and the viewer relax with the reveal that Yang's semblance goes beyond just her fiery outbursts. The more damage she takes, the harder she hits back. So basically she goes full-blown Super Saiyan. A new badass battle theme from the Williams duo, and Blake and Yang team up themselves, turning Yang into a merry-go-round of fiery fists for Bumblebee. Interestingly, Iceflower is the name used for RWBY and Weiss shooting some freezing blast to slow down Roman, which is odd, as I would have thought that White Rose, the more common ship name for the two, would have been okay, but then again I remember when the ship name for the two was Candy Cane, so it's fine. The blasts do work though, as one strong arm punch from the Boomerang Yang, and Roman is ejected from the Paladin. Just before however Yang can roast him, we see Roman's new henchwoman jump into the fray, and blocking the blast with her umbrella of all things. This mix of Lightning, Pharaon from Final Fantasy XIII and Nui Harumi from Kill la Kill is Neo, which finally makes some sense for Monty previously tweeting loads of pictures of the Neapolitan ice cream flavour, and gives her a rather stylish design if I might say so myself. Her appearance though does allow Roman to escape with some form of glass substitute jutsu power, Maybe it's a semblance or just an aura thing, I don't know, but I'm probably leaning towards semblance. Neo definitely looks like an interesting addition if she's able to pull off that kind of power, especially from a full-on blast from Yang, though there's something of note with her. Her eyes here are one eye brown and one eye pink, yet in the meeting, she had dual brown eyes. Maybe her semblance activates and her eyes changes from it? I don't know. Either way, she also gives Weiss a chance to make probably the worst pun in the show so far that even Yang of all people doesn't chuckle at. RWBY passes off the joke though and wonders what happened to the boys. They must have been seriously hurt after getting smashed in the air. Maybe they need help, or got lost, or maybe they need some medical aid, or they just had an empty stomach. Nut jobs. Oh hi old man, that was the episode. So let's run through the positives and negatives that I have. Just remember folks, this is just my opinions. Negatives as usual first, and thankfully it's not as many as last week's episode. Some are there though, like some rather stiff animations during the club scene, mostly with Junior's movements. It felt a lot like how animations were in the first volume, and in contrast to the upgraded animations of this volume, it kinda stood out a bit to me. It could have easily been a bit better or closer to how it is now, but given how short it was as a whole, I won't harp on it too much. Speaking of that club scene though, while I'm glad that they didn't spend so much time on it, especially when we didn't really get much from it, I kind of feel like it maybe should have been just shown in one continuous run from Yang entering the club to her leaving, instead of being spliced in the middle of Blake and Sun's events, just to keep the pace a bit smoother, at least in my eyes. Also, going by the colour of the sky and the time span, did RWBY wait in the trash bin all night? Since she was shown next to it when she was given the call for backup. I know she was probably blocking up the dumpster from the mouse, but till nighttime? Same for Weiss too, as she's shown getting out the elevator for CCT, yet this was only a little bit away from where RWBY left her to follow Penny earlier in the day. And with the Paladin mech, I'm kinda worried about the fact that Team RWBY was able to defeat it, flat out demolish it as well, after its only first time shown in combat. Maybe it was just to show how Ironwood might be a little out of his depth with making these things, but still, if these things are supposed to be a threat to people, or at least the bad guys, and yet be taken down by 4 young huntresses in training, even with a Mega Punch, I'll need to see a bit more just to see the full potential of the threat that these mechs have. Positives time, and there are a lot here. Firstly, I love the fact that they didn't hang on the reveal of Penny's identity and RWBY's reaction. Instead, they have RWBY immediately address it at the start of the episode. It's a lot better than us just having to wait for 2 or 3 episodes just to see how she was gonna react. We also get to see more of RWBY's kind-hearted and supportive nature, and why she is the heart of the group with her positive attitude. And of course, this helps the friendship between the two, which all in all, it makes it a rather cute end, despite the weak reveal in the first place. Also, the humour in this episode was spot on for me, with hardly any joke falling flat. Heck, I was flat out laughing hard at the shipping names being used as the tactics names. For this episode's voice acting props, I'm gonna give it to Jack Patillo, as while the other characters are strong for sure, at least up to this point, that's not much of a surprise. But with Junior, it's clear that Jack improved from his first appearance, so it's only fair that I give him his due credit. And of course, the action scene was massively entertaining. The highway chase was the right blend of chaotic and high energy, especially with the amount of people in cars and the fact that the Paladin just wouldn't stop trucking along. And once things got more grounded, we saw the RWBY girls team up in some really creative ways, that we also see their growth as fighters, from able to strategize, react on the fly, and work as both singular and various duo tag teams, especially when compared to the last team-up fight they had in Players and Pieces. So, what's to come next? No doubt that there will be some backlash on the girls for their actions, and what's next for the bad guys phase 2? We've also seen a lot of scenes that were shown in the trailer, so brace yourselves folks for a lot of new set pieces, especially with the tournament still to come, and also the dance. Do you share my largely positive thoughts though? Do you think that maybe the episode had a bit too much or a bit too little? The comment box is for you to share such thoughts. As for now, it's time to sign off. I'll catch you guys next time. Until then,